Hi, I'm Allison Weisbrot. I'm the editor of Campaign US, and we're live from Advertising Week New York. So DE&I has dominated conference talk tracks for years, but when it comes to actual action, where is the industry at now and what still needs to be done?
I remember early on in my tenure in advertising, probably in the year 2000, the New York Human Rights Commission took all the ad agencies in New York to court over not having diverse representative teams, and that felt like it was a watershed moment. And you look back and you're like, what's actually changed? Has it gone better? In my view, it hasn't, not by a lot. When I look around, like the rarity of having Dara and I on a stage together as like black CMOs, and that shouldn't be rare.
So I think we need to stop talking and start acting. I think we've talked ad nauseum about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I think it's important for us to start to put our money where our mouth is and start to actually show and move the needle on tangible outcomes when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. How are we retaining, recruiting, promoting, and protecting people?
I think we've done well in that we've raised the topic. We've started sourcing talent differently. We're looking at different requirements for employment. Traditional pathways are not the only way to get a job in our industry anymore, which I think is really important. And I think we're learning how to hire on the basis of potential more than experience. So that is all great stuff. Having said that, I think we haven't done enough to change our structure and our system, and there are opportunities to eliminate the very traditional, very patriarchal, hierarchical realm that is very prevalent in our industry.
DE&I has been a lot of talk for many years, and what we've seen is some increased action around two main areas. One, around talent. So a lot of companies are now looking to see how they can recruit and ensure they retain great diverse talent. And another is in the area of marketing, more inclusive marketing, looking at it beyond multicultural, but looking at it as an intersectional way where it's ethnicity, gender, disability, sexual orientation coming together.
So much talk and not enough action. And for me, like the thing that I find about these issues, they're systems issues. So the only way you solve them is by addressing the systems. It's not by talking about it, it's not about storytelling.
Honestly, I'm tired of the talk, and I'd rather we stop talking and start acting. Take all that energy from talking and putting it into action, because we've been talking a lot and not much has changed.
Well, one of the key gaps in DEI strategies is having to do with age. All the different elements of diversity that we talk about so frequently, but they are missing age, which is both a segment in and of itself, as well as something that intersects with all the other elements of diversity.
Do you feel like the DE&I conversation has lost momentum since 2020? And if so, how do we keep it at the forefront?
I don't think it's lost momentum. It's just, in a positive way, I think, become more how we operate every day.
Oh, it is 100% slowed down. In fact, I've been appalled to hear people say things like, oh, well, we did the diversity thing in 2020. And I think it's such a shame, because diversity is a business imperative. It's a business imperative. Focusing on diversity, equity, and inclusion will allow your business to outperform, drive more results, serve and better serve the communities of your customers. So I think it's so important that we not allow this, oh, a recession is coming, so we're going to pause on diversity. That's actually the time to lean into diversity.
Yeah, look, I think we had a moment. We had a moment in 2020 after George Floyd was murdered when, for the first time, it was actually like okay for brands to talk about race. Like race was a third rail conversation. Nobody wanted anything to do with it. People talk about the environment, about all sorts of things, but race was like, we stay out of that. And I think George's murder made brands wake up to that, make businesses make all sorts of commitments, make business really strive to diversify their ranks. But like, as you know, this is like a news cycle country. And so like whatever we cared about 2 years ago might as well not exist. And so we're now in the place where there's all sorts of other concerns. There's been COVID. Now we're heading into an inflation environment. Now companies are going to pull back. And if you talk to recruiters who do exec recruiting or any type of recruiting, they will tell you that a thing that used to be a must-have is now going to like, maybe.
But I guess I don't think it lost momentum. I think it was consumed into organizations. where it was less on the front page and more about organizations getting serious about their HR policies, about their cultures, making them more inclusive, about their boards being more emphatic about organizations showing progress. So there wasn't like a big loud debate, on the front pages, but I do believe that organizations have really consumed this into their organizational DNA.
I think it's an important conversation to keep top of mind for everybody. And listen, the current macro environment is always going to have things from COVID to political strife to recession to out. There's always a million different dynamics going on, but we need to make sure that DE&I continues to stay at the forefront of the conversation.
What are you most disappointed about when it comes to the progress on DE&I in the advertising industry?
Most disappointed that not enough visible progress has been made. I think, look, everyone did all the right things. Everyone donated the money. Everyone, joined the 2% pledge. Everyone did the things they were supposed to. But still, I come to these conferences, I look around the stages, I look around the leadership. And so I'd say not seeing change happen at the top is what I'm most disappointed, because I don't think people understand how powerful that is on a number of levels.
I'm disappointed that very often the silos within companies tend to be very systemic. I'm disappointed at times when I see leadership perpetuate the current status quo when it comes to breaking down those silos and actually ensuring, instead of having a more integrated, holistic way of how to grow the business.
I'm still disappointed just if you look at the straight up statistics. We just don't have enough diverse talent in the industry. And it's mostly because we're not reaching far enough afield to bring people into our industry at young ages and grow them and teach them.
As an industry, has a long ways to go to make the right progress that's needed in terms of agencies, in terms of representation and ads and campaigns and across the board. I think the right conversations are being had, but I think it still needs to continue to be pushed forward.
What makes you hopeful about the progress of DE&I in the advertising industry?
The types of leaders that I see coming up, the younger leaders, I think this feels so core to how they think about the world that they don't have to be taught it. We spend so much time convincing people about the benefit of that we're only now just getting to the okay, you believe now, let's do some things. Whereas I think people that are a little bit early in their career, I don't think need as much convincing.
What gives me hope is the fact that we're still here. I'm one of the founding members of the Black Executive CMO Alliance, and a lot of the work that we're doing is to make sure that we are supporting Black people who have made it to the C-suite level in our industry, but more importantly, that we are paying it forward and helping to accelerate the growth of the next generation of Black CMOs. And that's just one example of an organization.